I can still remember the first time I brought it up, my idea. It was late in the evening, just the two of us in the conference room. My boss, James, had been listening to me for weeks, waiting for me to come up with something big. I had the perfect pitch, something I knew could change everything. The excitement buzzed in my chest as I presented it to him. The passion in my voice must have been evident because his eyes lit up. "You've got something special here," he said, leaning forward in his chair. "I can see this working. It's genius." I thought for a split second that maybe, just maybe, this was the moment. The moment where everything would click, that this idea would become something more, something real. But I didn't expect what would come next. "Let's work on it together," he said. "This could be our breakthrough." I agreed without hesitation. He had always been my mentor, the one who helped me navigate the mess of office politics. I trusted him, perhaps too easily. We spent nights brainstorming, refining the concept, fleshing out every detail. I poured everything into it. I couldn't wait to see the finished product, and neither could he. A few months later, everything changed. I walked into the office that morning expecting to find a regular day. But then I saw the email. New business launch. My heart sank. It was our idea, but it wasn't ours anymore. The launch was happening without me, without a single mention of my contribution. The worst part? It was all in James's name. The email, the press release, even the website. I stood there, frozen, staring at the screen. It was like someone had ripped the air from my lungs. "What the hell?" I whispered under my breath, not sure who I was even talking to. I should have felt shock, disbelief, but instead, the anger came rushing in. My fingers trembled as I reached for my phone. James had to know I'd seen it. I had to confront him. But I didn't know where to start. "James," I said, my voice shaking when he answered the phone. "You took it, didn't you?" There was a pause, and then a cold laugh. "It's business, kid. It's what you do with the idea that matters. And you weren't ready." My stomach dropped. Betrayal. That was all it was. I had trusted him with everything, and now he was treating me like nothing more than a stepping stone. I hung up without another word. I couldn't bear to hear him anymore. It was over. I had given it all away. I stared at the screen in disbelief. My heart beat faster, my breath shallow. The email title, "New Business Launch," mocked me. I clicked it, hoping it was a mistake. But no, the article was clear. James had launched the idea. My idea. And the worst part? Not a single mention of my name. No thanks, no credit. Just his face on the cover, proudly presenting his new venture. My hands clenched around my phone. I couldn't breathe. "How could he?" I whispered, barely audible to myself. I leaned back in my chair, trying to gather my thoughts, but they came in a blur. This was supposed to be our thing, my thing. I had trusted him with everything. And now I was nothing. I tried calling him, but he didn't pick up. I texted him instead, my fingers shaking. "What the hell, James?" No reply. I paced around the office, trying to make sense of it all. Anger bubbled inside me. But there was this sinking feeling too, a gnawing doubt. Was this my fault? Had I been too eager to share my idea? Had I missed the signs that this might happen? The phone buzzed in my hand. It was James. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my breathing before answering. "James," I said, my voice steady, even though my chest was tight. Did you really launch it without me?" "Of course," he replied, his tone casual, like he was talking about the weather. "It's business, you know. You weren't ready. But don't worry, I've got it covered." I felt my stomach drop. "You stole it. That was my idea," I spat, but my voice wavered, filled with an overwhelming mix of hurt and anger. He chuckled. Relax. You can't own ideas. You gave it to me and I made it happen. You should be grateful. I heard the finality in his voice, and it hit me harder than I expected. The betrayal was real, cold, calculated. I wanted to scream, to tell him everything. But my words caught in my throat. I should have known better, I muttered instead, hanging up before he could say another word. I dropped my phone onto the desk and stared at the screen again. The launch was live, spreading across the internet like wildfire. It was over. My idea was gone, and now it was just his. The fury that had built inside me began to twist into something darker. Self-doubt. Maybe he was right. Maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I wasn't enough. I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. I couldn't just sit there, helpless. James had crossed a line, and now I had to make him pay. I knew I couldn't let this go without doing something. So I started planning. Every detail, every move. I needed to make sure the trap was foolproof. My mind raced as I sat at my desk. I had to use everything he didn't expect. His arrogance, his confidence in thinking I was weak, it all gave me an opening. I wasn't going to confront him directly, not yet. No, I was going to expose him. I picked up my phone, tapping out a message to a colleague I trusted. Get me a copy of the contract with the investors, the original one, the one he didn't tell me about. I felt a slight grin spread across my face. He never thought I'd dig this deep. I sat back, staring at the screen in front of me, running through the plan over and over in my mind. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was determined. My hands were steady as I began making the final arrangements. The email was already drafted, ready to be sent once I had the proof. James, I'd write, your fraudulent business practices have come to light. I'm sure the investors would love to hear the truth. I could almost hear the panic in his voice already. The idea of his empire crumbling because of his own greed gave me a sense of cold satisfaction. But I couldn't afford to rush it. Later that afternoon, I found myself in his office, just as planned. James, I said, keeping my voice calm. I need to talk to you about the numbers from the new project. There's something off. He looked up, his usual confident smirk barely hiding his nerves. What's wrong now? He asked, though I could see the tightness in his jaw. Was going over the financials. There's a discrepancy between what we agreed on and what was actually finalized with the investors, I said, meeting his gaze without flinching. My heart was pounding, but my face betrayed nothing. He leaned back in his chair, his expression turning defensive. It's probably nothing, he muttered, but I could see the panic flicker behind his eyes. I wanted to laugh in his face. He had no idea what was coming. I excused myself, leaving his office as quickly as I could. My phone buzzed a minute later. My colleague had sent the contract. I skimmed through it, finding exactly what I needed. The proof, the lies, all of it. Sitting at my desk, I took a deep breath before hitting send on the email. The trap was set. Now, I just had to wait. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about showing him and myself that I wasn't the victim in this story. I wasn't powerless. I stared at my phone, the screen displaying James's name. I should have called him earlier, confronted him directly. But now, everything felt different. The trap had been set, the email sent, but a strange emptiness gnawed at me. Was this really the right thing to do? I'd spent the last few hours pacing back and forth, wrestling with myself. Was I still the person I once was? Or had I turned into something else entirely? A person willing to destroy someone's life just for a sense of justice? Are you going to keep brooding about it all day? My friend Mike's voice cut through my thoughts, pulling me back to reality. He had always been the one to push me when I needed it. I turned to him, frustration bubbling up. I don't know, Mike, I should feel good about this. I set him up. I'm exposing him. But instead, I just feel empty. Empty? Mike repeated, stepping closer. You've been talking about this for weeks, man. You've wanted to get back at him for what he did.
I don't know.
And now
I
you're
muttered.
going to second-guess yourself?
I rubbed my face.
Feel like I've been played all
exhaustion
along.
settling in.
Maybe I should have seen
I
this
thought I was
coming.
doing the right thing.
Maybe I was too stupid to
But
realize
now-
what kind of person he really was.
Now I don't know anymore.
Mike's voice softened.
It's like I'm becoming
It's not
the
about
person I
being
hate.
stupid, man.
Mike crossed
He's the
his
one
arms.
who took advantage of you.
You're
You
not
trusted
him.
and he betrayed
He
you.
stole your idea.
That's not your fault.
Manipulated. I let out a bitter laugh.
Used you.
What
It
you're
feels like
doing
it is.
isn't about being
I'm the
him.
one who gave him
It's about
everything.
standing up
I
for
was the
yourself.
fool. You weren't a fool, Mike said firmly. You were just too trusting. But don't let that turn into guilt. What he did isn't on you. What you do now, that's what matters. I swallowed hard, the weight of his words settling deep inside. Me. Was I really just a fool? Or was this my chance to take control, to stop being the victim? I didn't know, but I had to find out. Thanks, Mike, I said quietly. I think I needed to hear that. Anytime, he replied. Now go do what you need to do. You've got this. I walked into James's office, my heart pounding. But this time, it wasn't fear that made my chest tighten. It was something else. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Control. James looked up from his desk, surprised to see me standing there. His expression faltered for a moment, but then he masked it with that usual arrogant smirk. What's up? Got a problem with the project again? I closed the door behind me, my eyes locking on his. I could feel the weight of every decision. I'd made up to this point pressing down on me. The emails, the plans, the trap. It was all about to come to light. No, I said quietly. I don't have a problem. I have a solution. He raised an eyebrow, leaning back in his chair, clearly amused. A solution? To what? You're not making sense here. I stepped forward, my hands trembling with anger and something else. Something like satisfaction. I'm not the one who's been making sense, James. You've been running around pretending like you built this company, like everything's yours. But it's not. It's mine. His face twisted, disbelief flooding his features. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone, tapping the screen with steady fingers. I'm talking about your little fraud. I've got all the proof. The contract with the investors, the unauthorized deals, everything. James stood, up quickly, his chair scraping back. You're crazy. There's no proof. What the hell do you think you're doing? I couldn't help but smile at his panic. I think I'm doing exactly what you deserve. I moved closer, my voice lower. Now, you took my idea, my work, and you thought you could steal it. But I didn't forget. I was waiting for this moment, James. And now it's here. He took a step back, his eyes darting to the door like he was considering running. You have no idea what you're messing with. I laughed bitterly. No, you're the one who didn't know what you were messing with. You underestimated me. I handed him my phone, showing him the email I'd sent to the investors. The proof was right there in black and white, every detail exposing the lies he'd been telling. He stared at it for a long time, his face drained of color. You're done, I said, my voice firm, and there's nothing you can do about it. Your little empire is crumbling. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with rage and something else, regret. But it didn't matter. Not anymore. Maybe you've won this time, he muttered, his voice a hollow echo of the confidence he once had. But you'll regret this. You'll see. I shook my head, the weight lifting off my shoulders. I've already won, James. The only thing left now is watching you fall. I turned and walked out of his office, the door clicking shut behind me. For the first time in weeks, I felt free. I sat at my desk, staring at the phone in my hand. The news was everywhere. James's business was crumbling. The investors were pulling out, The media was on his back, and the deal he'd been so proud of was falling apart. I'd done it. I'd exposed him for everything he was. But now that I was seeing the fallout, it didn't feel as satisfying as I'd expected. I was still sitting there, lost in my thoughts, when the door opened. Mike walked in, his face sympathetic. "I saw the news. It's all over, huh?" "Yeah," I muttered, setting my phone down on the desk. "It's over." He took a seat across from me, studying my face. "You don't look like you won, though." "I don't feel like I won," I said, rubbing my temples. "I thought this would feel different. I thought this would bring me some kind of closure, but all it feels like is emptiness." Mike leaned forward, concern etched on his face. "You were right to do what you did. He took what was yours. He deserved this." "I know," I whispered, my voice shaky. "But it's not enough. I thought bringing him down would make me feel better, like everything would finally make sense. But now I just feel empty, like I'm left with nothing." Mike sat back in his chair, looking at me carefully. "You're not the same person anymore. You can't expect this to fix everything. What you did was necessary, but don't expect it to heal all the wounds he left." I nodded slowly, his words sinking in. I thought I could move on once I got him back, but I was wrong. I was so caught up in the idea of revenge that I didn't stop to think about what it would leave me with. "Revenge never fixes things, man," Mike said softly. "It doesn't bring closure. It just leaves you feeling hollow." I stared at the desk, the weight of it all hitting me. I thought I would feel victorious, but instead, I feel worse than ever. Mike didn't say anything for a while. Then, quietly, he spoke again. "Maybe it's time to let go of it, you know? Let karma do its job. You don't need to carry this around anymore." I looked at him, the realization settling in. The anger, the betrayal. It had all been a part of me for so long, but now, I had to figure out how to move forward. I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. "I think you're right. Maybe it's time I let go." But even as I said it, I knew it wouldn't be easy. The emptiness, the disillusionment, it would take time to shake off. I couldn't stop checking the news. Every time I refreshed my feed, another headline flashed across the screen. James's empire in crisis. Investors pull out. Company faces lawsuit over fraudulent dealings. I felt a twisted satisfaction in each word, but with it came something else, something I hadn't expected. At first, it was pure relief. James, the man who had stolen my idea, was getting what he deserved. He was unraveling, his empire crumbling, and I watched it all from the safety of my desk. But the longer I stared at the headlines, the less satisfaction I felt. I leaned back in my chair, staring at my phone. My mind raced. "This is what you wanted," I reminded myself. "This is what you deserve." But somehow, even with the victory I had set in motion, the emptiness still clung to me like a weight I couldn't shake. Mike texted me just then. "Saw the news. What now?" I sighed and typed back, "Nothing. Just watching." But that didn't feel right either. I wasn't just watching anymore. I was feeling it. Watching James's downfall didn't bring me peace. It was like I was seeing the pieces of him fall apart, but none of it was helping me put myself back together. The anger, the hurt, it hadn't disappeared. It was just waiting. I opened my email and saw a message from James. I hesitated before opening it. His words were cold, detached, and laced with bitterness. "You think you've won, but you've just ruined us both." It struck me hard. I had ruined him, but I had ruined myself too. The satisfaction of seeing him pay for what he did felt hollow now. I wasn't better than him. I had been so consumed with revenge, I hadn't seen the bigger picture. The destruction of everything I had worked for, the damage to my own peace, was just as real as his fall. A deep breath escaped me. What now? I wasn't sure. All I knew was that I couldn't keep watching him fall apart without facing the pieces of me that had already broken. I set my phone down, the weight of everything pressing in on me. What's the point of revenge if it leaves you empty inside? I realized then, this wasn't over. Not for me. Not yet. I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the empty glass in front of me. The noise from the TV was nothing but a dull hum in the background. I had gotten what I wanted. James had fallen, and the business he had stolen from me was crumbling. But now, there was this silence. I ran my hand through my hair, trying to make sense of it all. For weeks, I had convinced myself that revenge would give me peace, that it would heal the wounds James had caused. But now that I had watched him lose everything, I realized it wasn't enough. It didn't fix what he did to me. It didn't fix what was broken inside me. "Mike," I muttered, reaching for my phone. I needed someone to talk to. It felt like I was drowning in my thoughts. He picked up on the first ring. "Hey man, what's up?" "I don't know," I sighed. I thought taking him down would feel like justice. But now, I just feel lost. Mike was quiet for a moment, as if weighing his words carefully. "You've been through a lot, man. It's not just about him. You've been carrying this anger for so long that you forgot who you were before all this." "I don't even know who I am anymore," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "I let all of this consume me. I let it define me." "You don't have to keep carrying it," he replied. "Revenge doesn't heal. It just weighs you down. You've got to let go of the anger, man. It's the only way to move forward." I closed my eyes, letting his words sink in. I knew he was right. But the thought of letting go, it terrified me. Letting go meant accepting that I had been hurt, that I'd let someone take so much from me. It felt like weakness. But deep down, I knew I couldn't keep holding on to this. It was suffocating me. "I don't know how to do it," I said, my voice breaking. "Letting go. It's not that easy. It's not easy, but it's worth it," Mike said. "You've been carrying this weight for too long. You're not defined by what James did to you. You're not defined by revenge. You get to choose who you are now." I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I looked around the apartment, at the life I had built before all of this. The peace I once had, the happiness I thought I had, lost forever. Maybe it wasn't all gone. Maybe I could find it again. "Thanks, Mike," I whispered. "I think I'm ready to try." "I know you are," he replied. "You've always had it in you." As I hung up, I realized something. I wasn't broken. I was just lost. And maybe, just maybe, I could find my way back to myself. I didn't need to hold on to the anger anymore. I didn't need to let revenge control me. It was time to move forward, time to heal. For the first time in a long time, I felt a glimmer of hope. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but it was mine to walk. I sat in my apartment, staring out the window at the city lights. It was quiet, but the noise inside my head was deafening. James had fallen, and the battle I'd fought for so long was finally over. But now, everything felt different. It felt like I was standing at the edge of something new, something I didn't quite understand yet. My phone buzzed on the table, pulling me out of my thoughts. It was a message from Mike. "How are you holding up?" I smiled slightly before typing back. "I think I'm finally ready to let go." The reply was immediate. "Good. It's about time." I leaned back in my chair, my mind racing. The anger that had consumed me for so long had slowly faded, but the emptiness it left in its wake still lingered. For weeks, I thought getting back at James would give me the closure I needed. But now, I realized it was never about him. It was about me. It was about the lessons I'd learned, the strength I'd gained from surviving the pain. I'd watched his empire crumble, but what had I gained? I wasn't proud of the way I'd taken him down. It didn't fill the void inside me. The only thing that had truly changed was me, my perspective, my understanding of who I was, and what I was capable of. It wasn't the revenge that had made me stronger. It was what I'd learned from the pain. I wasn't defined by what James had done to me, or by the revenge I'd sought. I was something more than that. I was someone who could move on, someone who could rise from the ashes and build something better for myself. I ran my hand through my hair and exhaled, a sense of peace settling over me. It had taken me a long time to get here, but I finally understood. I had spent so much time focused on what James had taken from me, but I had never stopped to think about what I still had. The phone buzzed again. "You're stronger than you." "No, man. Whatever comes next, you've got it." I read Mike's message and felt a warmth spread through me. He was right. It was time to stop looking back. Time to let go of the bitterness, the hurt, the need for revenge. I didn't need James to define my future. I was the one who held the power now. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city, at the life I was going to build. The past had shaped me, yes, but it didn't control me. I was ready to move forward. The past was gone. What mattered now was what I did with the future. I made my choice, and for the first time in a long time, I felt free.